Nakutambua pekee baby. Ai mimi nakubeba kama ai hey Apollo my I don't even know why you my hey I say ai mimi nakubeba kama ai hey Apollo my I don't even know why you my
Welcome to today's episode here at Music Teacher Kenya. Today we are honored to have one Steph Kapela, who, as I understand, has many other names. Majina lake ya serikali. So I think he's going to tell us about that and just a little bit of who he is, what he does, what has influenced who he is musically.
Thank you so much for having me. It's definitely an honor. So yes, my governments are Stephen, Maroko, Onkoba, Nyamkuru. I have 4 names. My birth certificate only has 3 names. But the government messed up when I was getting my ID right before I did KCSE.
Okay.
So they messed up and they put my dad's middle name as my last name.
All right.
And then when we went to go change it back, they said like, yo, look, it's much harder to remove a name from the registry than it is to add another one.
Yeah.
So we are just going to add your last name. So that's how I ended up with 4 names.
And you own them?
I own them, yeah.
Oh, that's
I
good.
mean, they're still part of my heritage either way, so
Okay.
it's all good.
So Steph Kapela sasa ni nani? Kimuziki, maybe background growing up. Who are you?
Regular guy. I grew up in different places in Nairobi. I spent some, like maybe the first, maybe 9 years of my life, or maybe nine is too much. Maybe the first 5 or 6 years of my life in Buru.
Okay.
Then we moved to Umo. Spent another maybe 4 years there. Then the place where I really I can say my roots kind of went down because now I was a little bit like I could differentiate where I was. I'd say was South Sea. So
Right.
South Sea, that was me getting to being a teenager and adolescence and all that. So yeah, South Sea really shaped and molded me in terms of how I viewed reality at that point. And then Koma came after that.
So we're talking about growing up experiences, but I didn't hear you mention anything musical, because looking at South Sea, I know there is quite a musical background happening in that scene, and especially nikijaribu kuestimate, sijui miaka yako, but nikijaribu kuestimate your years, there was some musical activity happening in those places, and they may have or not influenced your musicianship. So maybe you could just briefly mention growing up, muziki. Most people, when they talk about their childhoods, many people talk about nilianza kuimba kwa kanisa, Sunday school, ama kwa shule, kwaya shule, PPI, you know?
All of that.
So exactly. So how did you grow musically?
Nothing different from what you just mentioned. Nilikuwa kwa kwaya I used to. I used to on Wednesday we used to have parade, like for the house, and then on Monday we'd have like the main parade. There were no performances, but the ones for if I think there was red, green, and yellow for the houses.
That is in school.
This is primo. This is primo now. So yeah, I liked performing. I didn't really know I was a singer or music would be part of my life. Earlier on, at that time it was just fun. It was just a good time, but towards more now when I started getting into becoming a teenager and actually listening to a lot of music from abroad and also listening to a lot of music here, I started now kind of grasping that I'm really, really into music. But at that point I was more into R&B, and I was actually more into female R&B singers. I had a top 5 and everything. So, but by the time I was getting into high school now, that's when it really was yo, I think I want to do this with my life. And that's when even in South Sea, there was a musical explosion, you know, right before I got into high school and during high school. Because Chihuahua used to be my neighbor when I was in South Sea, and I didn't know he'd grow up to be Chihuahua. But when I was in high school, that's when the beef with Klepto was happening. I definitely got Issa was popping when I was a kid, and he was rapping South Sea. So even Nameless, Big Pin, all those guys, like Ogopa taking off was taking off at a time when I was just like looking out and being awed, you know. So yeah, I got into music early, but I didn't know I was going to become a musician. Not until high school. High school is when like Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, that's when I started being like, yeah, I think this music thing might be my thing.
Dagoretti High School.
Yes.
Ditches. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that and it shaping your musical experiences.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ditches was a special place. Like even from day one, number one tuliingia tukijua, like mi nilikuwa nimeingia music club.
Okay.
And we already knew we had a rivalry with Upper Hill. Because Upper Hill, Shakina Bien,
oh, yeah.
like them guys came from Upper Hill. Upper Hill could sing. Them boys can all. Baka wa leo. Seta Red Fort Chorus ni.
Yes.
So, yeah, I got into music club. I was singing. I was nilikuwa CU. I was a choir master. It was handed down to me from like a very famous musician in Kenya. So for
Who
me,
is this?
Amos.
Oh, Amos from Amos and Josh.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And he's a brilliant singer. Like I credit me knowing how to sing harmonies.
Okay.
I learned how to like sing with other people and stuff like that, all from him. Like I learned pretty much everything I knew that first half of like music. I learned from him, and he also was a songwriter, so that also inspired me to become like better and better as a songwriter. And I think the first thing that actually helped me the most to develop me during that time was him telling me that I couldn't be part of their crew, which was F216, because I really wanted to, and I figured like I'm a better singer than like pretty much like everyone else, and I think I'm even a better singer than some of the people in the crew. But it humbled me. It humbled me and taught me like it's not gonna be that easy, and it's not just about who's like a really good singer or who's a bad singer. It's about the harmony within the group, and then how they're vibing with each other. So I learned a lot. In my earlier years.
It was more than just the singing.
Oh, by far.
That's quite a lesson.
Oh, music. I learned. I can say half of everything that I know musically I learned during those 4 years, singing harmonies and whatever else. It was very, very, very helpful.
All right. So we're talking about Dago, Ditches. I understand there are quite some crews that originated from that school.
Yeah.
Boomba Clan. Let's talk about that.
Boomba Clan.
And the others.
In fact, I go back with Thome. Me and him used to be even in the same primo. And then I went and met him now in high school as well. And Boomba Clan were really like, they had a few hit songs, you know, and it wasn't. I think they had one hit song before they left high school, and then their other hits came right after they finished high school.
Okay.
But yeah, like Boomba Clan was the rival, not rival in terms of beefing, but in terms of a high school crew. They were like the rival to Kleptomaniacs, because Klepto over in Patch, they were also killing it. Like they were already like big stuff, you know. So high school was interesting. Our band was pretty dope. Our band was amazing. Our drama was amazing. Our music, not so much. Music labetu, not so much. But we had a very good teacher. I think I got my beard thing from him because he had a thick, nice, bushy beard, and he hated it. He used to shave it as much as possible. But yeah. Dago was definitely like learning grounds.
So you would really say that high school played quite a role in shaping up the kind of
half
musician
of everything
that you are.
Half of everything I know musically, half of everything, like I learned how to write when I was there, like even getting the confidence of writing. I learned it when I was there. Singing, I learned how breath control. I learned like what a vibrato was. I learned harmonies. I learned the different voices. I also learned how to sing with other people. Like I used to be like the Lone Ranger, you know, and every time, you know, when people who never sang with other people and they're starting to sing, they always want to stand out. And they always want to do those runs, those heavy, to show everyone that they can sing. I learned how to sing with other people. Like the combination of your voices is way more important than your individual voice standing out. So like I learned half of everything I learned in high school. all that's changed since then are just different genres. Just like different sounds which keep popping in and out, but not necessarily like the core foundation of what musically I do.
Okay.
High school.
Nice. 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 So basically you've talked about your musical background, and you talked about some of the ladies or lady singers, R&B singers that you are listening to at around the same time. Who are these? Who are these female singers? And would you say they affected your singing style?
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
know
yeah.
that.
I'd say top number one, my top female like voice of all time for me was Whitney Houston. Rest in peace to her. A close second was Celine Dion. Third was Beyonce. Fourth was Mariah Carey. And fifth was, I believe, Brandy. Brandy. Those five were like, Brandy, I loved how she used to sing with her breath. You know, like it was more breathy, it was more airy than it was like powerful. Beyonce, she could just do everything, you know. Mariah Carey could hit notes that you couldn't even imagine, you know, and she was the ultimate pop star. And then Whitney Houston was just...
The soul.
Whitney Houston is an entirely different discussion. Like, the kinds of songs she sang, like, you were just singing this earlier, like, I Will Always Love You, that song.
Yeah.
That song is just not for anyone to sing. Like
all
these music competitions, when I see people go and be like, oh, I'm gonna sing I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston, I'm always going like, bro. Because I know the challenge in it, because Whitney Houston had the kind of control she had on her vocals and the vocal range that she had. She was a Stevie Wonder. She was before her time. You know, she's incredible. So yeah, those were definitely my top five. Also, don't forget the males, like Joe. Joe was a big influence on me. Tevin Campbell, I just loved his voice, even though I discovered him much later on, even when he was already done. Neo also became like a really good influence much later on. Craig David, of course, all the boy bands, Backstreet, Blackstreet, NSYNC, you know.
Oh, Westlife. Did you have a Westlife?
Westlife? No, I didn't have a Westlife.
You didn't have a Westlife?
I didn't have a Westlife
stint in your life? How come?
I did not. They came when I was done with boy bands. I was already done. Like after NSYNC broke up, Backstreet Boys had broken up. Those are the guys I grew up with.
You didn't have that stint?
Nah. By then I was now more into hip hop. I think at that time that's when I was starting to get into DMX. That's when I was trying to get into Ja Rule. You know, people don't give Ja Rule his credit. Like 50 Cent, whatever. Like then I was getting into hip hop, not a little bit more and more and more. And then my singing was mainly focused also on gospel music. Because
okay.
I was very saved. Still saved. Jesus.
Amen.
But yeah. So my music taste kind of like just bounced what I was interested in versus what I was allowed to listen to as per my religion at that time. Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Your religion.
I mean, I was Christian, and we like growing up, we weren't really allowed to listen to secular music. Like in my high school, we had something very interesting.
Okay.
Like we never went to entertainment.
Okay.
We always had a CU meeting. We always had a CU fellowship. If the lights would get lost, and then it's like, okay, if the lights don't come back by 9 p.m., you guys can go back to dorms. And those who want to go to enter, if the lights come back, you can go to enter. So when steamers kipotea, kulikuwa na wale wasa walikuwa naomba acha ifike 9 ipite ndio sit the rest twende enter tukawatch sasa whatever. Even when they did that, because the teachers would go home now, there's no preps, sindio. The teachers have gone home, guys are just kind of like waiting to see customers tarudi ama tarudi. Guys would go to enter, an abrupt CU fellowship would somehow be arranged and we would not be allowed to go to entertainment. And for me personally, that used to be like a very hard thing because I don't know, I was being pulled there my entire high school life. And as soon as tungefunga chuo, like it's like I'd leave my CU there, I'd go home, and the first thing I'd turn on was either Channel O or whatever. EATV, whatever was like playing the latest music and whatever, like I'd be right back in it. But as soon as I got back to school, to KOSIU, there's no secular music, there's no nini. So my music taste at that time was just, it was controlled by what I was interested in when I could listen to it, versus when I couldn't listen to that kind of music at all. So I had a mixture of everything. Like, don't forget, there was like Daddy Owen, there was like Rafto, there was like so I'd also listen to that stuff as well. So it just depended.
Maybe this will be digressing a little bit from the music, but what kind of crisis would you call this? I mean, because this is not like listening to secular music was not against the school's rules, right?
Not the school.
Exactly.
Not the school, yeah.
It also was not a personal thing, because when you go home, you could listen to all the secular music.
Yeah.
So what kind of fitting in was this? Because that was you trying to find a fitting in within a certain group in the institution. Right? Because it's not written anywhere that, you know, you get a suspension or an expulsion when you listen to secular music.
My problem was, I got into the CU committee like by Form 2.
Okay.
So Amos was what, 2 years ahead of me, Cindy, when I was in Form 1 and he was in Form 3. Okay. But then when he goes into Form 4, I have to start learning how to take over as the choir master. Okay. You see, because he's going to hand over by second term, because he has to worry about KCSE. So by like Form 1, I'm already like, I've joined the choir, because I'm just exploring. But by Form 2, I was starting to have responsibility, right? And they impress this on you that you're a leader, you're an example. You know, you can't be doing ABCD while preaching ABCD, right? So for me it was, I think later on in life I came and figured out like I'm more of an ambivert. I'm more of a person who kind of fits in when I need to fit in. And that I struggled with that for a very long time, because everyone always used to say that you need to be one thing. You know, you need to have like a set of principles that you want, like and that's true. But like a lot of people walk this earth adapting, adapting to situations and whatever is, and I always felt I was one of those people who knew how to adapt. But I was always told that that wasn't right necessarily.
That you had to be one thing.
That you had to be one thing, and you had to be a core, like it had to be a core belief, and you just have to live that way. So for me, it was a struggle for a long time. But I think from four second term, literally, like I just said, you know what, no more. Like I just decided, me nenda enter. Like I just said, me nenda enter, me. And some good friends of mine were one of the few people who used to call me out all the time for that stuff, you know. Nyankuru, unafanya nini hapa? Well, good memories now, but you know, I decided I was going to go to entertainment because I really want this, and I hate feeling like a hypocrite. I hate feeling like nikiwa huku niko hivi, nikiwa huku niko hivi. So like I just said, you know what, no, me, I'm going to go. However, it's me bado ni Mkristo, but mi naenda enter. Church ni Sunday, tutaenda Sunday, enter ni saa 2 usiku. Let me go, man, you know. So I don't know. It was quite a challenge, but eventually now you come to realize who you are. When you start believing in yourself, you know who you actually are versus what the world expects of you.
This process of self-awareness, and especially when it comes to music, would you say then you've talked about high school impacting you quite greatly. Let's talk about your life after high school, and then you making decision, because that's usually the crunch time, you know. You have to make a decision on what you want to do with your life, career-wise, especially you know, the school, tertiary education. Now you know that you love music, and especially in Kenya, of course huwezi enda kuambia mzazi ati nataka kwenda kufanya muziki hata shule, hata shule ati you want to go for 4 years and study music.
That's wasting
so
money.
What helped you make your decisions regarding to what you wanted to do with your life, and not ignoring music, which seemed like your first love when it comes to choice of career? So what happened after high school?
I think I was just like anybody else. When it comes to musicians in Kenya and Africa at large, I feel maybe things are different now. But during when I was like just transitioning into now like college life and whatnot, just like everyone else, kuimba ni hobby. Yeah, even if it's a career for you, as far as your parents are concerned, that's a hobby. You're going to school, you're studying this is what you're going to be. You're going to become a doctor or whatever. Unaimbaga, okay, sawa imba tu, lakini, you know. So for me, it wasn't any different for me. I finished high school and I went and did comps, you know, those two regular whatever.
Packages.
You know, nikamaliza hiyo, and then Tasker Project Fame came, the first one, TPF1. I went, I got in the house, I got kicked out the third person.
Oh, you actually went for the
auditions? Yeah. I was in the house. I was in the house for like 3 weeks, whatever house. They were kicking people out like... Yeah, I was the third person to get kicked out.
I didn't know about that.
Honestly, like that whole experience for me was just fun, you know. Because I was a kid straight out of high school. When I got in the house, I was the youngest guy there.
Okay.
So for me, it was just a fun experience, like being around like so many good musicians, and now for the first time also being in a place where there's so many good musicians.
Yeah.
Like from high school, you had Amo, you had a few guys, right? But you weren't like in a competitive state.
Yeah.
Now we're all these musicians, and I'm telling you, I see some of our celebrities from that nini, what they're doing today. There's another one on nini, ako mahali kwa radio stations flani. I don't know if he wants me to say it, because I think he distanced himself from your life. But I see him every day kwa socials, and I go like, yo man, just sing one line. The whole of Kenya will go crazy how dope you actually are. But yeah. So after Project Fame, that didn't do anything. Madhi akaanza kulia, atakwende maju. She was like, me, I can't provide for you here.
Okay.
I can't provide for both you and my bro.
All right.
So, you know, you guys like bro atabaki, but we utaenda, you'll make a way for yourself and even make a way for all of us.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I ended up in US. Kufanya mchango. I ended up going to US, and that's where now I started looking at music as a career.
Ulienda maju kuimba ama ulienda kusoma?
Nilienda kusoma, and I was studying, but sasa you have more freedom. Number one, there's no mom or dad or anyone around who can tell me anything. And then on top of that, it's not just freedom, it's the ultimate freedom. Right? Because US, once you're 18, you're an adult and you can do whatever you please, right? Like literally you can, minus drinking. Drinking is 21 years old.
Oh, okay.
And I went over 21. I figured when I was 22.
All right.
So I was free to do whatever, like girls, pombe, anything I want, and there was no one to tell me otherwise. In fact, it was encouraged because you're young. It's supposed to be, you know.
Exciting.
So, yeah, I was still going to school, but at the same time, like, I had the freedom to pursue music without someone being in my face about it. So, it was fun. It was a good time.
So let's talk about music in the US. You doing music there?
Yeah. Actually, the whole process started by this guy called Dubai. His actual name is Dennis Onsarigo.
Oh, Dennis Onsarigo?
Yeah.
That's the one and only?
No.
Oh, a different one.
Okay.
Different one. Okay.
But he went by the name of Dubai because he always felt like he was meant to live a grand life. Like he was always grand. Everything that he had to do had to be spectacular, right? So, but it wasn't that yet. But when we met, we got together. He was like, "Mi nakujua. I don't know where I know you from, but I know you." Now he was thinking of knowing me from TPF.
Okay.
Unaona. So we tukaongea. We ended up going to the studio. We recorded the first track, and I remember I didn't like it as much. But then when we went to do the second track, we recorded it at like msanii kwa Jay Priest. Jay Priest was a dope now engineer, and that was the first time I had my recorded voice sound really well, because I'd recorded before, but I never used to like how my voice sounded. I always used to think like, this whole time I've been telling myself I'm a good singer, this is actually how I sound.
Yeah.
But then I found a good engineer who knew how to mix you really well, and then from that moment I just ilikwama, like it just bit me. It was like, yeah, this is how I want, this is what I want to do, and this is how I want it to sound like. So it just grew from there. It kept growing, it kept growing, it kept growing. We did a few songs with Dubai. We made a whole group called the A-Team, Akina Monski, Akina Lucia. It was good times, like good college first year, second year. Unajua time, like you're just enjoying yourself. You're not really caring about much. And eventually I broke out and started doing like a solo act.
Let's talk about genre-wise or style-wise. What music is this? Are you doing more singing? Because, you know, when you talk about Steph Kapela right now in Kenya, most people know you as a rapper.
Right.
Most people don't know actually that you can sing. Actually,
right.
You know?
Right.
So when you went to the USA, was this the singer, Kapela the singer,
yeah,
or Kapela?
Yeah. It was Kapela the singer. I was a singer for a very long time. Like I didn't try to even rap until like 2011. Like that was like the first time I was like, okay, let me see if I can, you know, rap. And that was after Drake, right? It was Drake that convinced me that like, oh, wait a minute, like you can be a rapper and you can be a singer. Like I had seen Nyash do it. And it was dope, but I don't know why I didn't look at it as a genre at that point, or a style. So for me, you either had to be like, because R&B singers were looked at more sensitive, more soft, and to be a rapper, you had to be hardcore and whatever. But me, I was doing hooks. Yeah, I'm singing hooks for songs and nini. So for me, style really changed when Drake hit the scene. When I first heard Drake, I was just like, Apana Ndioi.
This is it.
Like Drake ilinified, like literally you can tell from the songs that I had done before Drake, and then after Drake you can just be like, yeah, definitely I can see the influence. Because before that I was an R&B singer. I was singing like really singing like, you know. But then after that, Drake kind of introduced this kind of lazy type of singing where you're not really worrying about like hitting the notes very well, or like being very, what's the word, technical with your singing.
With the singing style,
it's more of just bringing the vulnerability out and making sure you're not going off pitch, and that's it.
Yes.
So that's when I really started getting into this rap sing kind of thing, and really starting to get into whatever. But then, you know, rap is very competitive.
Yes,
so if you put out your first rap and you're expecting guys to go like, that was dope, and they don't.
And especially in Kenya, where you know, people looked at you know, rap, most people would, you know, categorize it under hip hop. So we look at the originals of hip hop in Kenya. You know, they went hard.
Right.
You know, you talk about hip hop in Kenya, people go hard, really hard.
Kumbuka akina Kalamashaka.
Exactly.
Akina Kitusua, Bamboo, even in a bus.
You see, people went hard, and then this is you trying now to come and lighten the, you know, lightening the style. You still, at that point, did you really want it to be considered as a hip hop artist now? Did you want, or did you just want to be known as a singer or a musician? Did you what?
I think I had a cushion for me in my development, in my story. As hard as hip hop was in Kenya, I wasn't in Kenya at that point. So say I was Niko Maju. So like that kind of pressure, I didn't really feel it, and I wasn't, because I started singing in Swahili, Nikiwa Maju.
Okay.
But then Kenyans who at that time like they're not really fans of Kenyans, you know, like there's just some drama. Yeah, there's some weird drama that Kenyans have about supporting each other, Maju.
Okay.
But especially if you're in the arts, like, you know, supporting each other in terms of tunachanga, kuna ruhusi ama kuna funeral, those are all easy. But in terms of like me supporting like a music career or like a side hustle you have or whatever, there was some whatever in my experience at that time. So we had put out like a whole CD. We'd put even like a release party. We had invited all the Kenyans we could find, with their white people. They all came. It was fun, but Kenyans weren't buying our CDs at all. Like the people who were buying our CD were the white women that the Kenyans came with. And they were buying our CD, and they don't even understand the language.
Swahili, right?
Hawajui kenye unasema. So me, I was like, yo, you know what? Like it just clicked for me. It was like, you know what? I've always wanted to be an international star. Yeah. And I'm in America. Like where else am I trying to go to do these things? See, I'm here. Let me just go for it now. So I switched and started singing in English, like almost pure English at that point. Grind that out for like maybe 3-4 years, and then now like I'm ready to make an album. I make a mixtape instead, and then one of my homegirls tells me like, yo, like, cause I had put like a one Swahili line in a song, and she was like, no, that's really dope, you know. And so like, nah, you should do that. You should definitely do that. So I decided to do it. Pros and cons. Okay. Some people find it very interesting. Some people find you, oh, he's different, yeah. But that same thing that people find you different, now in a city where people are not really blowing up from there, there was this thing we used to call like a crab in a barrel mentality. You know, like if one of you is starting to do really well, like guys want to just pull him back down because we've all been trying to make it, why should you? You know, type of vibe. And I quickly realized that in that city, I wasn't gonna make it. Just cause even the shows, you would do the shows, you'd go to perform at a show, and then you'd look at the crowd. Half the crowd there is guys who want to be rappers as well. And the other half are the women they came with. Right? So even if the women enjoy your stuff and they wanna really enjoy, it's like the guy, you know, and she has to be like, damn, I know where I'm going home, so let me chill. And the guys never, like the hardest you'd get from a guy is he's holding his drink and he'll go like, oh. And you're jumping, you're sweating, you're performing on stage, you're doing everything. And the guy is just pocketed, holding his drink, looking at you like. But most of them, like 90% they were hating, they were holding a drink, watching you straight like this. No matter what you did, no matter how good you are, like and until we started recognizing like little tricks. Like someone nakam club lakini nakam na madem. Nakam na madem ka wawili watatu on the side, dressed, beautiful, killing it. I walk in, now the guys wanna be my friend simply because I have these ladies by my side. Right? Not because of my music, but when I'm performing, you will dance this time around. Because I have the ladies. And the ladies, the ones that I came with, they're hype. You know, them, they are going like, whoa, Kapela! Whoa! So also the guys have to be like, I mean, hey, if he's got this, well, I mean, he must know something. We don't. So that's when things started happening a little bit okay for me, I'd say, musically, because I started realizing like ikitoni psychology. Now I say hawataki kusupport. So you have to give them a reason. Yeah.
All right, so let's now talk about you doing the transition from USA to Kenya and trying to relaunch your music career in Kenya.
So in 2015 I came back to Kenya abruptly. It was definitely not something that was planned for.
All right.
But I ended up coming back to Kenya, and once I was here, like I was lost for quite a while.
Okay.
I didn't really know what I was going to do, especially 2015 Yote. 2015 Yote, like I came back in like June.
Okay.
June or July. I think July 23rd. I came back on July 23rd. So for the rest of the year, I was just lost. I was living with my kuzo and my aunt and uncle in Karen at that point. I think they wanted to make the transition for me a little smoother. So
culture shock.
I'm
a reverse culture shock.
I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I think they tried just to make it smooth. So walinipeleka kwa mababi. And it was dope. It was dope for a while. 2016 I got back in school.
Okay.
During that, now 2016 is when now I started like seeing what I could do musically.
Yes.
And that's when I ended up meeting my first label. I ended up signing with them in 2017.
What is this label?
This was Atwa Music.
What?
Atwal Music, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a Kenyan guy by the name of Atwal.
Uh-huh.
It's a well documented story out here. If you know the story of Steph Kapela, then you definitely know what happened with Atwal. I really don't discuss it anymore because I just found my peace away from that, so I don't really go back to that at all.
All right.
But yeah, in 2017, released Got the Sauce, released a bunch of other songs, The Man, Veteran, whatever, and those kind of gave me those fast funds, you know, those fast you need to build up. And I really gotta give it up for, there've been key people who've helped my music career like really get to where it was.
Okay.
In the very beginning, like it really actually started with Shaq the Young, as funny as it sounds, because I didn't know him at that point. I had no idea who he was, but he had my song. Gave it to Jack something. I forget his other name. Like he goes like a Jack something, like a nice, you know, like Monica, like a nice name. And he was a DJ at Homeboys, so he was spinning it. And when he spinned it, Mwalimu Rachel caught it when she was still at Homeboys, and Mwalimu Rachel loved it, just loved it. And when he loved it, when she loved it, like she started spinning it like on rotation heavy, and then ikafikia Bien, unaona. Then when Bien heard it, Bien also went like, this guy is so dope, nini, simu ndoyo. He appeared in the music video, which also helped again, like give me some more boosts, kwenda juu. We did the whole Uncut series, and my first Uncut performance was like, people were like, oh man, wait a minute. So there's another Kenyan who's rapping in English, like Kali, but he's also like nini, more boosts. So there've definitely been people on the road who've helped me like really start to get where I am, and I'll always be grateful. But Ruby, you know, Ruby, we did the whole Uncut, like 1, 2, the very first one, I was there. That's the one that helped me personally, and also helped the Uncut brand itself also like launch itself. So Uncut 1, 2, 3, 4 zote was there. Even the ladies edition, we were there.
Okay.
So yeah. It's been a journey.
So let's go to the kitchen, the musical kitchen.
Yes.
How do you cook this music? I mean, like, I'm really interested in knowing what your musical process is, your musical creation process. Like, you know, from the writing, actually from the idea. Like, coming up with an idea to, you know, say, this is what I'm going to write about. Or this theme or this topic is interesting. I could try something. To you actually writing it down, do you even write it down? Ama unajiamini unasema tu yani amini yule msee naenda to studio yani I just you know I just do it. And even how you work with the people that you work with, you know, your choice of artist for collaboration, your choice of producer, what do you look for in a producer? Because you know you talked about your stint in the US, and you know you met that super sound engineer, and I would think that, you know, the standards there, having gone through the whole, you know, production process in the US, of course unabeba standards zako tu, you carry them and you come with them here, and there are some expectations that you would have. Maybe let's talk about that.
That's quite loaded. I'll try to unpack one at a time. I think, okay, first of all, in terms of my writing, I think it's evolved so many times over the years. At first, I used to wait for inspiration.
Okay.
Like, I literally used to wait for inspiration. I wasn't a guy who said like, oh, I'm gonna go take a walk and find inspiration. That isn't how it worked for me. For me, it just hit you through something, anything. You know, like you're talking with some friends, and then somebody says something. Like that just captures you, or maybe you're driving and you just see a scene, right? You just see something. There was this song I wrote called Mr. Officer when I was back in the States. And that song literally came out of, like, we were driving one day, like I was driving with my manager, and then just like 6-7 cop cars just went flying, like
what?
Like many of them, like, you know how you have to pull to the side of the road?
Yes.
Repeated. And then there was so many, like like, and I was just like, God damn it, like somebody's about to die, or like this is serious, you know, something is gonna happen. And it just it caught me so hard. I ended up going home, finding a beat, writing a song to it. That song got me to New York. That song in itself, like, it got me to New York. And mind you, I'm writing this song before I'm really experiencing like how crazy it is, like culture-wise in the US between black people and the police. Like, I haven't really experienced it as much. But at that point, like, just seeing those cars going this way and having that conversation, it developed into a song that actually became like a strong song on my mixtape and got me to go all the way to New York to perform. Like, so it just depends. At that point, there are times when it was like just being inspired. There are times when it's a collabo and unaambiwa kuja studio and they play you a beat. They tell you what it's about and they tell you right. I hate that, by the way. I completely hate that process. But you can't avoid it. Like, it's like, things sometimes need to be done very quickly. When Abbas came to Kenya, the last time he came to Kenya, he was going from studio to studio to studio. Like, so me and like Ivan Odi, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point, went and picked him up from Calligraph's studio and then went back all the way to Ronga to our studio so that we could record our collaboration with him, you see. And I had to write that, literally, tumefika, tuchague, which beat do you want, and then you have to write, and then you're writing with Abbas, you know, like, it's Abbas, so the pressure is on, it's on. And Trabuli was also part of that. And Trabuli is a monster, if you know him, like, in terms of his pen. So it's evolved over the years. The writing itself has evolved. These days, I'll say the truth, like, I don't necessarily write on inspiration. I think I've figured Mali where I know how to write. So if it's just a thing where you just tell me, like, okay, here's the topic, whatever, right? I'll start writing, provided you give me enough time to write, because I don't like rushed things. If I'm writing like a whole verse or a whole song in less than 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours, whatever you'll get from me will be a rough draft. No matter how good it sounds to you, that's just a rough draft. If I spend some more time with it, I'll go back, I'll change a line here, I'll reduce some syllables here, I'll realize, oh, I'm rushing here, let me fix this. But if ikiharakishwa, I can never give you the best product. Unaona? So I've evolved in my writing as far as which producers I want to use. When I came back to Kenya, I tried out a couple of producers. The first guy, like, really got on my nerves because, like, the way I hooked up with him, he had sent me a beat when Kiomaju. I think he had seen one of my songs or something, and he was like a trap producer or whatever. So he sent me a beat, and I loved the beat. So when I came back to Kenya, he was the first person I looked for. I was like, I know this guy can make the type of beats I like. So found him. He had a nice studio and everything, but then we recorded like 3 songs, and the mix stayed for like 8 months to 2 years. From the first one, I was pissed off. I needed something else. I needed someone else. And that's how I ended up linking up with Atwal. And Atwal was amazing from jump. When you talk about like his sound, like mixing, beat making, professionalism, he was above and beyond. Like, he was leaps before his time. So yeah, hiyo ikaenda venye ilienda. But now I ended up with Ivan Odi. We actually met Ivan Odi when I was still under Atwal. He was shooting music videos. He also had his own studio, and he had just come. They were friends with Atwal, still on Bakaleo. So he came and they were just talking, and he wanted to shoot Got the Sauce, the music video, but Atwal ended up not allowing him. But that's how I met Ivan Odi. But now, after me and Atwal have parted ways, now me and Ivan now linked up again, and I got in the studio, we recorded. That's the guy who recorded Vicky's Secrets. That's the guy who's recorded and mixed everything. He's amazing at what he does. He shoots the most amazing videos. He's like the most in-demand videographer right now. And honestly, even calling him a videographer is lowering who he actually is and what he can actually do. So Yeah. And I've been at Calivan Creatives ever since. We have an incredible partnership. We have an incredible, like, even just rapport and understanding each other musically. Like, I'll sing something and then he'll just sing the harmony. And I'll go tell him, I'll just go like, yes, you know where we are going. You know what this is. So it's been a good journey, but I also work with several producers, Kaxi, Jero, even some in the States, Waithaka. I have Vicky Secret is full of different producers. So you also asked which method do I prefer. Do I prefer producing with someone from scratch, or do I prefer see what's the system? I'd say for rappers, a lot of the times we don't really get a choice on how we want to build the beat, unless we're working on an album. When you're working on an album, you want to be in control of almost every sound that comes in. But for the most part, they just send you beats. Producers from all over, they hear a song you did, they make beats, they want to hear your voice on their beat, they'll send you a beat. If you like the beat, you have a song. So a lot of times that's how it happens in rap circles. But for when you're making an album, whatever, and some of the people when like we made something with Charmant from scratch, we made something with Ivan from scratch, Kaxi from scratch, 2 things from scratch. Like Pamoja on Vicky Secrets and Wangu na Wangeshi, that was all built straight from scratch, just going. That's what I actually prefer. I feel that's the place where I'm most creative, is like you can just start playing something. If I really love the vibe, I can just grow with it. I can grow, and we can morph it and make it into something more complex, but not complex in the sense of like Beethoven, complex in terms of like we can make the beat switch to something else, or we can introduce like a bridge that just sounds completely different. That's the best way to make music. But I hardly get to do that. When you talk about from
scratch, I think for people who are viewing or listening, I think maybe it will help to describe what making music from scratch is. Like, versus you getting a beat and then singing on top of the beat.
Right.
Making music is, being in the process when the beat is, I think for some people, especially people who've not been in studio environments, I think kuna watu hufikiria tu beats zutoka tu from nowhere. I don't know.
I'm telling you.
There are people who think like beats, beats just are beats. It's having music instruments, in the room.
I think for me, in my experience, it's been like, I'll get, like, say for example, when I'm working with Kaxi, we'll walk in a room and then he'll be just sitting next to a keyboard, and then he'll just start playing something.
Chords.
Yeah, you just listen to something and you're like, oh yeah, I like that. Or you can come in and be like, yo, so we're looking of something like Tempo Kai. We're thinking something a little bit trappy, and maybe there's some reference tracks. Maybe like there's a song by a certain musician you've heard, and you want to create something along those lines. You play with it around, and then he starts working on something, and if you like that, you go like, yeah, keep that, keep working on that, and then he'll also tell you, all right, now give me space. Now I don't want people in my ear telling me the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Give him space. He starts building the beat. He starts building the beat. Now you already have an idea of what's coming.
Yes.
You've already had the tempo. You've already had whatever. So I'm also with a paper and pen on the side, and I'm also doing my thing. I'm also trying to come up with some words. And the more the beat builds, the more I'm also writing. I'm writing. But I might just end up writing 4 lines. The entire session, 4 or 5 hours, I might just write 4 lines. Now when Malza beat but your beats. Me, I love writing in solitude.
Okay.
That I love writing when I'm by myself. I don't even want anyone in the room. Kitambo, I used to be like, usiniambie nikuimbie mpaka nimalize kuandika, then I'll sing for you. Now I don't even want anyone in the room. I just want to be like, I can go to the balcony, I can go anywhere where I'm alone, put my headphones on, start listening, write a line, change it, write it, change it, write 4 or 5 lines, scrap them, come back, write something else, and I think that's my cast, because I'm always trying to say something. and I'm always trying to find simpler ways of saying it, and more ways to spoon feed my audience without compromising the message or the tactic itself, you know, because I love metaphors. I love bars. I love saying something that makes people go like, hey, hey, you're in touch, you know. But you can't get that if you're just singing like the most simple of the simple of the simple ways. So it's a constant struggle, and it's a beautiful struggle, because that's where beautiful, good music is made. Trying to find the balance between something that sounds wonderful and easily digestible, and also saying something and saying it well.
I think there is a time someone said, one of the musicians in Kenya, and actually producers, respected producers in Kenya, once said that he advises his artists, you know, because there is usually that crisis where an artist, you know, because you're your number one fan, but you're also your biggest critic.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, you'll never feel that this is good enough for people, because, you know, you view yourself highly, and, you know, you want people to view you. So you're always constantly rubbing that, you know, deleting, rubbing, and for many that takes years. There's some artists, you know, who's been writing, you know, when you ask them, you get their notebook or their laptop, they have thousands, hundreds of music, but you ask them, you've not recorded this, and they're like, I still don't think it's good enough. And for many, that's a crisis, because many people never get to actually record their music. So what is usually that your point where you feel that now this is good enough to go to the studio and record? And I was talking about this producer who said that he advises his artists, you know, if and especially for popular music artists, if you want to know that, you know, your work is ready, have a child in the room, and if by the end of maybe that recording or that jamming session, that child is not humming a melody or tapping to the rhythm, then, you know, you're kind of failing, you know, because that simplicity that you're looking for, isn't, because music, beautiful music is simple music, but simple music doesn't mean mediocre music.
Very
so for
true.
you, what is that point? You know, what is usually that point where you get and say, hey, I think this is good. What are these things that you look and say, okay, tick this, tick this, tick this, good, ready for studio?
I think I'll start by referencing by that producer who was telling his artists, like, if there's a child in the room, I'd say that I agree and I disagree with him or her. I think what the problem with that is because I've gone through the same thing.
Oh, okay.
I've gone through the same thing of being told, like, your music has to be like really simple kabisa. Unajua, and if we're being honest, a kid will hum something that's the simplest way. There are musicians we have in Kenya, we all know them, whose songs sound, they're just a bunch of repetitive lyrics with a hook, and then that's a song, it's done. Nothing against them. But for me personally, I like to have something that says something and says it well. So in my process, the way I work with my process is, I always believe this thing, and Mudheni alisema juzi, but like I was already living by that philosophy.
Muthoni?
Drama queen.
Drama queen, okay.
She said that two people, like CTA yake, alisema, like, two people can be both right against one situation, even though they're on opposite sides. You see, it doesn't always, if one person is right, it doesn't mean that the guy who disagrees with them is always wrong. You know, and it's not always an opposite is true situation.
Getting rid of that binary
right?
system.
That binary way of thinking.
Yeah.
So utaenda utasikia maproducer wengi wakwambia the exact same thing, keep it simple, weka simple, hiyo ndo Wakenya wanapenda. Imba Swahili, acha kuimba Kizungu, hiyo ndo Wakenya wanapenda. Imba kitu imba tu juu ya ruka, rusha mikono, ruka, hiyo ndo Wakenya wanapenda. Unasikia? And I've gone through all those, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But for me Kenya, I just try to find a balance. I just try to find a balance of where I know, I feel like this song is simple enough for you to absorb what I'm saying, but you're going to smile at the way I said it. Unaona? Like the way I say it, that's what's gonna make, whether I'm using my voice, whether I'm using like cadence, whether I'm using different cadences, yeah, or whether I'm using like just a very nice lyric, you're going to like how I say what I'm saying. But then I have to say it also simple.
Yeah, it's
I have to
simple
keep
enough.
it simple.
Yeah.
So I try to find like a balance somewhere hapo hivyo katikati, and it's hard. It's not easy at all. And it sumbuas. But I don't know, for a while now, back in the day I would have taken years even maybe to finish one song. But ilifika mahali, and I think this came from Dubai a little. Dubai used to be crazy. Dubai, we used to finish a song, he'd write, then we record, we maliza. The first mix, terrible. Like a terrible mix. I'd be like, nah bro, hapana iko. Nikianza kuongea hivi ilishaingia SoundCloud. By the time I finish my objection, it's already on SoundCloud. It's already out, he's already posted it. That's the kind of guy he was. He was, I do it, I'm done, I post next. I do it, I'm done, I'm post next. Evil. And so like I think I kind of like absorbed that it's never that serious. And then you quickly learn also like that song that you think everyone is going to be like, ini normal.
Yeah.
Guys don't even pay attention. And then the one that you didn't care, like
nah.
Hiyo ndio wasa wako, was Steph. So at some point you learn to trust your process. You finish, unaangalia. For me, you ask the check marks. Am I rushing? Do I feel like am I swallowing some of the syllables?
Diction.
Yeah, diction, exactly. Am I swallowing the words? No. The sounds, the words, I'm articulating them well, na flow. Good. How's the melodies? Are the melodies clean? Do they sound too repetitive? Like I'm not against it, but I'm really I get a little bit disinterested with a lot of today's music, especially Amaju. Not even here, like ile Amaju. You know how like mtu anaanza la 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 la
again, yeah.
And that's just the entire verse.
No variation.
And that's the hook itself.
Oh yeah.
She my trap queen, na 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 bando, na 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 na. How's the verse? It's the exact same thing in the verse and in the hook. That gets on my nerves. Right? I'm not against it. I understand that's what people are into. So please, by all means, I'm with you. But it's just not my thing, Sindio. So are the melodies nini? Am I rushing? No, it's clean. Do I trust my lyrics? Am I saying anything that I think is absurd or anything? No, I trust them. Can I stand by them? Cool. Once I'm not, mix is good. It sounds clean. I have my radio edited. Nini version. Yeah, I'm done. Song is out. And I'm on to the next one. Like, and I can't even promote one song more than a week.
Yeah.
I try personally. I try to be that guy who will just be constantly being like, yeah, song out, new song. After a week, I am tired. I'm on like, what's next? Like, what am I doing next? When's it coming out? That's the way I am.
You know, you talked about that, keeping it simple, but also saying it very well.
Right.
And I looked at the Kenyan and bongo musician situation because somehow they've been able, the bongo musicians, they've been able to capture that, and they've been able to do that perfectly. That they'll say the simplest things, but they'll still keep that dignity of language, and it's kind of beautiful because we talked about metaphors and they use that. And the funny thing is, in Kenya, our producers and our DJs and our people in radio, they'll tell you, like, keep it simple, but then they'll play that music from Tanzania that, does not really keep it very simple in terms of language, but the themes and the ideas that they're talking about are everyday themes, so they're very, relatable. Right. And the double standards in our industry.
There definitely are.
Which we'll also talk about in terms of, your experiences making money out of your music in the US and you making money here in Kenya.
Oh, I never made any money in the US.
Oh.
Musically speaking? Nah, it was a rough time. I mean, I got a couple of paid shows, but I wasn't being paid anything, like anything. Yeah, it was never that. Like the US was never, it was never about the money. The US, you just wanted to blow up. You wanted an opportunity. In Kenya, it's been possible. Yes.
That is the most surprising thing I've had today, because you know the mentality is huku Kenya wasania wa make money, hakuna do,
kuna majuu, ulize ukweli waambie ukweli venye kuna kuanga huko. Even maybe things are different now, I don't know, but during my time it was quite different. It was quite different. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I know you were asking a question.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Yes.
In the US, it was hard. Remember I told you like how guys, they're not really supporting, whatever. Yes. It was an exposure game. Most of the time, if a club agreed for you guys to perform, that was the pay. The pay was tutawacham perform. And they usually used to go terrible. And it's just like even in Kenya, you know, like when an artist and a DJ will never be on the same level unless the artist is coming with a funded production. Unajua? If you tell me to go perform at a club for free, right? I'm an upcoming artist. I'm not even like someone who's doing it for charity or whatever. I don't have funds. See, like the most I can do is maybe buy some new shoes and maybe a shirt so that I don't look shady when I'm performing. But that's about it. Like na performance tracks. I don't have dancers. I don't have props. I don't have smoking machine, lighting, none of that stuff. I don't have a production. It's just me, the mic, and the audience. See you. And a DJ doesn't need all that because a DJ is mixing people's emotions. He's not mixing music. You understand? He's mixing whatever emotion you are going through when you heard that song. Whatever you are feeling when you heard certain songs, even those hit songs. Whatever you are feeling, that's what you're actually being sold by a DJ. So when a DJ is mixing, everyone just tunes in because DJs always pick the best songs, the dopest, most hitting songs, and they mix that. And those songs hit you differently in different points of your life. So guys will always be hype for the DJ mixing versus this guy they don't know who's using a mic. Number one, mind you, a well-mixed song is never the same thing as a song that's being sung on stage.
Yeah, live performance.
I don't care how good Beyonce a singer is. Beyonce will never sound as good on stage as she does on a record. Yeah. See you. The mixing is different, whatever. So when you get on stage and you're performing your heart out, it doesn't matter. The DJ will always get more looks than you, you know. So us being given a chance to perform was the payment. That was the exposure, was the payment. Because they were like, bruh, I have a DJ. Like me, I have the crowd the whole night. They're not going anywhere. They love the DJ, right? So you performing is me saying, I'll force the audience to listen to you for a little bit so that you can do your thing. But I have a DJ, I don't need you. And it happens mpaka wa leo. In fact, like I just saw like a really disappointing post from this mama. She used to have a magazine called Mamarazzi back in Wichita. Okay. And she was featuring the up and coming artists, and she's been featuring, so kudos to her for that. But I heard her like comment somewhere and be like, you know, like guys, we understand you have to give an opportunity to artists and whatnot, but man, like sometimes let the DJ play, because you know guys are coming out to have fun and whatever, and we don't know there's an artist performing as we just came to listen to some good music. Let the DJ work, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, oh my god. Not because she's wrong. She's not wrong. That's the general feeling of people. People want to enjoy themselves. But these guys won't get any other opportunity. These guys won't find this opportunity anywhere else. They might just gain one fan. Just one fan from that production. But that one fan, you never know. They might buy your merch and whatever, which will allow you to eat. Or which will allow you to pay for another studio session, which will provide now your hit song that everyone everywhere will love. So if you take that opportunity because you're like, niko na DJ, like unajua, like if you take that opportunity from them, where are they going to find that stuff? Unajua, the audience can be mad for 20-30 minutes. They can be mad for 20-30 minutes. After that, they'll be fine.
They'll probably love the artist and the music.
Depending on where you are. Depending on where you are. But yeah, hata nime deviate, sorry. Like I forgot what we were talking about. But basically, yeah, I think for Dini, yeah, nimesahau, I don't know.
No, we're talking about making money. You were talking about making money in the US versus
in
Kenya.
Yeah, I didn't make any money in the States. Like I performed like at 2 different places where I actually got paid. But apart from that, like I didn't make any money, like in terms of that. Like the first time that I discovered like, oh, I could make money was when I did a show in Salina. Now I lived in Wichita. Salina was like maybe an hour or 2 hours away, some different place. I went and performed like at a poetry. I went and performed like at like a poetry. It was like a poetry meet, open mic type of thing. And I was performing and I was singing. So I did that, and yeah, I got paid for that. But it went so well that the white people there that had come for the poetry reading, they're all like, oh my God, we loved it. You're so good. Do you have merchandise? Do you have CDs? Do you have, what do you have? I want to take something. You have t-shirts?
Oh.
That's when I learned. I was like, wait. If I monetize myself, there'll be people who love you, and if you now go to places where you're not being paid, then na machako uze machako urudi na do. But that lesson was hitting me a little too late. By the time nilirudi Kenya, luckily, by the time I was now beginning to perform and whatnot, I was already with Atwal, right? So we did maybe 2, 3, 4 shows for free. Industry night, I think, and then maybe a couple more. But after that, it was all paid shows from that point on. But I climbed the ladder pole pole kama kila mtu. Hakuna mtu anza kulipwa hiyo pesa yote. Nilianza kulipwa ile pesa, the least amount you can imagine. Pole pole to where you can say like hata sasa ukilipwa, even whether you have a team or not, everyone can get paid and I can still pay my rent.
So how has the process been now monetizing your music in Kenya? Apart from now the shows that you did with Atwal and
right.
After that now post
Atwal, like when I was with Atwal, they used to handle all the finances.
Okay.
They used to handle everything on that, merch and otherwise. But after, like when I left now when I was with like Ivan, majority of the money always comes from shows. Like I don't know many people who are making money from streaming, you know. Like you might have a Sauti Sol, Nyashinsky, Jimmy Mathiongo, you know, like Akode maybe. Like you might have a few people here and there who are actually making like good money. Everyone else, usually shows, endorsements, ambassadorships, stuff like that, right? I have my own system. of something that I've learned kutoka Maju of how I can monetize, how I can maximize. I wouldn't say monetize, how I can maximize on one particular song or a product. But that's just basically a system of looking at all the different ways you can make money from one song and then making them into a package and then trying to see money from that. But personally, I would advise up and coming musicians, take care of your back end. That is the paperwork. Take care of your back end. Make sure your music is copyrighted. Make sure your music is like on all the streaming platforms. Make sure you're doing the rounds. Everything you need to do. However, very important, have a side hustle. Have a side hustle. Have a side hustle. Have a side hustle. The one thing you don't want as a musician is to depend on this music so much that when it's not performing the way you want it to perform, you no longer love it the way you're supposed to. It breaks your heart. Because once you, what do they say? Once you've given up on something you love, it's very easy to give up on anything else in life. So you don't want to be in that music, and I've gone through that. I've gone through like why am I struggling with this music and it's not doing anything for me? Napiga tu kelele na wazazi like mbono sikue kazi, mbono sifanye nini. Have a side hustle. It's a lesson that nilipigana nayo because I'm also of the school of, if you have a plan B, then you have an excuse. You know, you all or nothing, 100%. Like that's all well and good. but 100% and motivational quotes won't feed you.
Yep.
So, like, figure something out, and it's very easy these days. You can have something popping off online while you work on music the rest of the time. It's selling itself somewhere. You don't have to worry about it. So figure out how you can be bringing in income to sustain you as you pursue your authentic self. Otherwise, you start listening to watu wakwambia hii ndio kitu wa Kenya wanapenda. So pia unaanza kufanya hiyo kitu, and all the musicians end up sounding the same, and there's nothing special in the game.
Yeah, you talk about that, and I remember you telling me that you had picked on the guitar, and I feel, and you talk about people sounding the same, and I feel that it was an endeavor to just try and improve on you know, on your musicianship and your skills.
Right.
Why? Just tell me. Maybe those are my thoughts. Why did you want to learn the guitar? You've also mentioned you want to learn the piano.
Personally, I love
that.
the guitar. I think the guitar, like, in terms of like instruments, how they sound, I think the guitar, of the limited instruments I've been introduced to, I think the guitar sounds the best for me. So guitar, my first guitar, I bought it right after Project Fame. After Project Fame, we got invited to do a show in Race Course as what were Project Fame. So me and this chick ended up showing up, Christina Pondi. Went and performed, and I got paid 15k. I shika that 15k, nikakimbia music store, nika spend 7k kununua guitar. And then the rest of the money I divided between my bro, my mom, na kukula, na chakula, nikakula the rest. So it was a big ass green guitar. It wasn't even like a practical guitar, but that's where I started learning how to play. When I figured Maju, a pastor there gave me like one of his guitars, so I was playing that as well, but I ended up shelving it when I got into like now recording, mixing. So I don't know how to play, like I can't sing, perform with a guitar. I'm still one of those of black sheep. Have you unajua? I'm still one of those. I'm not like a pro. So yeah, for me, I love instrumentation. I love people who can play, because they always expose things to you that always isikia kwa beat. Unajua, beat ikikuja, it's already a complete thing. Like it's a complete thing, and then all that he was playing, he just took a section of it to be in this part, and then it's looped. Then you add drums, and in it, so it's good. It sounds good, but you never know the full breadth of what it could be. You know, so me, I love instrumentation. I love performing with a live band. Love it, the best.
All right, so let's say, what do you value more? Your ability to stay true to yourself, and especially with regard to your music, or the ability to make money off your music?
Now I appreciate the ability to be myself, because I've shed that notion that I have to be like, I have to make it. You know, I had to question what making it was, what it meant for me. And what it came down to was, for me, I want to be famous doing this music thing. I want fame. You know, like being very honest with myself, because making it for me is about fame. It's not about the music. No one's telling me I can't make music. No one's stopping me anywhere at any point telling me I can't make any kind of music I want to make. The only thing that's stopping me from that is the ability to reach a wider audience. Sindio? So I had to be honest with myself. What do I want more? Do I want fame, or do I want to make music? You know, like make my most authentic music. And that's how even the side hustles and the businesses and all that stuff started. Because I did that. I did the whole like, let's try to do the most popular thing. You know, let's go for the most popular thing. And then you ask yourself, when that fame is not hitting the unataka igonge, you start feeling depressed, you start feeling mean, unaanza kushuku music yako, unaanza kushuku ability yako, talent yako, all that stuff. What for? What for? Who's telling you can't make music? Who's telling you can't make this kind of music? The only people that are telling you can't make this type of music are the people who are telling you musicians are famous. So in order for you to be a musician, you have to be famous. If you're not famous, you're not a musician. And I disagree with that statement completely. I know certain musicians that I'm constantly looking at them, constantly looking at their work. People that you know, have you ever heard of a chick called Nabalayo? Nabalayo.
Nabalayo.
Yeah, it's like Nabalayo.
No.
But it's said like Nabalayo.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But one day, maybe somewhere along the line, someone will recognize what she's into. Folk music, like folk, but she's very young. She's a young artist who's trying out, like, to come out and whatever. And she's having all kinds of different, like, emotions based on, like, who's receiving her content, you know. But me, the thing that I hear from her, I'm like, if I can take that, if I can tap that, bring her into studio, bring Kaxi, combine the two of them and let them create something, and then me, I put my juice in it, it's taken off, you know what I'm saying? But I'll never be able to look at someone like that if I'm constantly thinking I need a hit. If I'm thinking I need a hit, then I'm like, I need a collab on Akali. I need a collab on Bahati. I need a, you know, oh, I need to work with sijui producer mgani ule anajulikana. If I'm thinking fame,
Magic singer.
I'm not making music. I'm just making whatever I think will blow up. People will love. I'll start being that controversial figure now. Now I'm doing things on social media that you're looking at and you say, this is so out of character of Steph. This is not Steph, because all I'm thinking about is fame. So for me, I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
Me, I decided, let me develop a side that can feed me. Let me develop a side that doesn't leave me stressing about how I'm paying rent, how I'm living life. Then I can make whatever music I want. If it comes with fame, great. If it doesn't, fine. Someone will hear that song. I may not be the guy to begin a revolution. Like, I may not be the person with the front lines leading a revolution, but I can spark the mind that does. If I can make my most authentic and dope self, like the things that I make that I feel are dope, and that's true to me. And that also doesn't mean that you have to make all your songs complicated, that all your songs now have to have like some weird sound or whatever. Just make whatever you love. Be true to yourself.
Yeah, as we wind up, I think you've just mentioned Kali, and from a prior conversation, I think it came out that, you know, and I also feel, you know, this is, you know, how I feel, that he's one of the artists, hip-hop artists, not just hip-hop artists, actually just one of the musicians in Kenya who are very intentional about, you know, what they do with their music and also how they support other musicians in the game. And you know, I think this is something that you also echoed.
Right,
Yeah.
for sure. Not just the Kali Cartel series that he's like, what are we now in 3? And like, I can even tell you right now, the 4th one is recorded and done. They're just thinking about like when they are going to drop it. And just recently we did a song called Luku Ni Safi. We shot the video. We're still waiting to see what happens with it. But the song is out right now, like on all streaming or whatever. So literally, in terms of like Kali giving like that kind of exposure and that kind of like literally taking artists and being like, yo, niaje wasenyi ndo mnanipenda, hebu angalieni hawa Kenya anafanya. Just being able to do that, and then for people to also like pay attention because Kali amesema.
Yes.
It's a big thing. And it's something that every artist has to appreciate. Every artist that has gone through that, through whether it's myself, Ecstatic, Caterpillar, Breeder, Beatty, name, you can name them. You can name them, and there are many. They've been given some kind of platform or some kind of whatever. So I feel like Calligraph has been one of those artists that really supports the next generation of whatever is going to come next. And I feel he's done that more than anyone I know. But that's not discounting the contributions of like Akina Okto, Akina Kaka, Akina Nyash. So I think that's changing, because that's something that definitely has been missing in the game.
Yes.
As much as I love how I grew up with music, as much as I love even Nyash, and Nyash is like my favorite artist, I can't look who's under him, who's came up under him, although Nyash had KGB, so correct myself over there. KGB was definitely under Nyash, even though they did their thing when they did their thing. But I can't find many people who've done that. Yes, Kaka has Kaka Empire. Of course, Femi One is there. Shout out to you. She's Nini amepata, the first female African with an endorsement for Monster.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. Shout out to you. So yeah, there are a few people doing it. So yeah, Kaka's doing it, Nyasha's done it, Kali's done it. That's not something that existed with Akina Big Pin, Akina Jua Kali, Akina Nonini, Akina Isa, Nameless, Nani. That whole entire generation that fed our music, like, and fed us knowing that there's Kenyan music. Them themselves didn't actually develop the next artists. So the fact that this generation that I can say I belong to, Jumini mzee. Mi na kina Nyash na kina Kali tuko huko pamoja, mi siko na. Like, these guys they're doing more, and I look forward to being also one of those guys to look out for the next generation, so that hata sisi tunaweza fika mahali tuko na heshima yetu.
Right, so what's your parting shot? For one, maybe upcoming artists, or artists who are already in the game but have their own struggles, putting in, into context or into considerations your own struggles in the industry.
I think my main message is about towards my up and coming, and just what I tweeted this morning. I didn't tweet that out of like a sense of I feel like nataka tupate tu ase motivation. It actually hit me. I was scrolling. I recorded this freestyle. I don't know when this is going to come out. If it's going to come out after the freestyle is gone.
Today is 15th of April.
Yeah. But I recorded this freestyle like if you go, let me just put it like saki mtu aende record alafu atoe anze kuniharibia market. But I recorded this freestyle and I've been planning on shooting a video for it. It's just that I've been busy. The time hasn't been right, and nilikuwa na COVID. And I just got better. This is April. In March I had COVID. So yeah, but I haven't recorded it, and then I'm scrolling, and lo and behold, Calligraph has posted a new freestyle. And a few days ago, Nyash had posted like 3 songs, 3 freestyles. So your pressure, come a musician, it hits you like, what am I doing? Like, guys are moving, watu wanagonga, watu wanachapa kazi, unafanya nini? And then that pressure, like the minute I started feeling it, like trying to build, I was like, Stop. You have a plan. The plan is in motion. It's in series. You are moving. You're already trying to put this thing together. Patience, my brother. Patience. Slow down. Toa your pressure. Cheza game yako kama wewe. Unaona? Cheza as an upcoming artist. Usiangalie watu wanangusha mangoma alafu anze kusikia like man, I need to be sijui sijafanya sijui nini. Relax. As long as you are on your path, and that's key. That's the key thing. You are on your path. If you are not on your path, then usijidanganya tunajiambia ati I'm being patient. You're not walking. If you're not walking, you're not moving. You could rather walk, uone watu wakisprint, wakikupita, wakikimbia, or watu ndio wale wanakimbia pale mbele, and you are still walking, than rather you're standing on the shore watching. Unajua, unaangalia tu watu wakiendelea, unaangalia tu watu wakiendelea kusema mi time yangu itakama. Mi time yangu na usongi. Unaona? It's key. You have to be moving, but move at your own pace. Always move at your own pace. Na bora kuna sukuma kenye unafanya and you're being better than you were yesterday. Your pressure ingine yote achana, itoe. That's the best thing that you can ever tell anyone who's trying to do anything that's beyond Kenya watu wengine wanafanya. If someone has a Tesla and you're just trying to get your Pro Box, get your Pro Box. Chana na Tesla itafika time yake.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow, that was quite a conversation, bana. Hey, so thank you everyone who's watching. As usual, leave your comment, and also check Steph Kapela's music here on YouTube. And when you go to his YouTube, you'll also find other platforms where you could find him.
Yes.
It's very important that we support our own musicians, because music ni kioo cha jamii. It is representative of who we are, and it is just one way of socializing with each other. So, as usual, like, subscribe if you haven't, and share with your friends. And also, your comments are very important. Let us know what you think of this series and who you would want to hear from in our next episode.
Mimi nakubeba kama apple of my eye. I don't even know why you my